was only a teenager stumbling through unanswered petitions, wondering if my voice mattered in the storm of humanity, wondering if God would ever answer, wondering if heaven had closed its gates to me. My name is Elias George. I never thought I would open my mouth to speak of this. For years I carried it like a sealed coffin inside me. I told myself it was safer buried, safer forgotten. But silence is heavier than death. Silence corrodes the soul like rust on iron, and mine has burned beneath its weight. I died. And in that death, Jesus told me why so many prayers remain unanswered. Even now, as I form these words, my body trembles, my voice quivers, because this is not a story, it is a vow. A vow I made when I crossed the threshold between worlds, a vow that if I returned, I would bear the weight of this truth no matter the cost. And so I speak, though my heart beats like a drum of judgment in my chest. I speak, though my hands are cold as stone. For what was whispered to me in eternity must now be spoken in time. He called my name in the dark. He called my name in the dark. He called my name in the dark. And I cannot keep that call a secret. When I died, the veil between silence and song was torn before my eyes. And in that place, I learned that the unanswered prayers of the faithful are not lost. They are weighed, sifted, held back for reasons we cannot yet bear to know. I saw the hands that receive them. I saw the tears that mingle with them. And I understood why the silence of heaven is not cruelty, but a furnace, purifying the soul of man. I should not be alive. My lips should be sealed by the earth, my breath swallowed by eternity. Yet I was sent back, branded with a burden. Tell them why the silence remains. Tell them what is hidden inside the waiting. So I tell you now, not because I am brave, not because I desire to be heard. I speak because I am bound by obedience, because the one who met me in death pressed this fire into my bones. If you feel the weight of what I am saying, do not let it slip past you as another passing tale. Subscribe to the Serene Bible now, because if you walk away from this moment, if you close your ears to this testimony, what will you tell your soul on the day you stand before him? That you scrolled past the whisper of heaven? That you let eternal truth be drowned in the noise of the world? This is not entertainment. This is not curiosity. This is the cry of a soul that stood in silence and returned with fire. He called my name in the dark, and tonight, I call yours. I grew up ordinary. At least that is what the world would call it. School days blurred into one another, the weight of textbooks on my back heavier than the prayers I whispered into the night. Sundays meant church, and church meant hymns sung from cracked pages, sermons I nodded through, and prayers that left my lips like fragile smoke vanishing into air. I prayed for grades to improve, for friendships to hold, for my family's pain to ease. Sometimes I prayed just to feel something holy brush against the edges of my loneliness, but the heavens stayed silent, and the silence grew teeth. I remember lying awake, staring at the ceiling, begging God to notice me. See me, Lord. Just once. See me. But the night never answered. My heart whispered and the world kept moving, blind and deaf. I went through the motions like so many do. Hands lifted in youth services, journals filled with verses underlined in red, tears shed at altars when the music was soft enough to stir them. Yet underneath it all was the unspoken ache. Why does he not answer? Why does he not speak? I prayed for my father's strength, but his shoulders bent lower each day under unseen burdens. I prayed for my mother's laughter, but it fractured behind tired eyes. I prayed for myself, for peace, but anxiety clawed through me like a storm that never ended. Still, I prayed. Still, I whispered. Still, I hoped. He called my name in the dark. Though I did not yet know it, he was listening. And somewhere deep in the silence, something stirred. Something I could not name. I carried an unease, like a shadow resting at the edge of my vision. I smiled with friends, played the role of the devoted child of faith, but at night my chest filled with questions. What if his silence is not rejection, but preparation? What if unanswered prayers are not wasted, but stored? I did not understand it then. I only knew that my soul was restless. Every unanswered prayer piled like stones inside me, building an altar of longing that grew heavier each day. I prayed for God to see me, but I felt unseen. Yet something in me whispered, "The silence is not empty. The silence is not void." And now, looking back, I know the silence was a doorway. I know the stillness of heaven is sometimes a fire that burns unseen until the moment it engulfs you. But at that time, I was only a teenager stumbling through unanswered petitions, wondering if my voice mattered in the storm of humanity, wondering if God would ever answer, wondering if heaven had closed its gates to me. He called my name in the dark. Even then, he was preparing the moment when his voice would tear through the silence like thunder wrapped in light. If you have ever prayed and felt only silence, subscribe now to the Serene Bible. For this channel is not entertainment. It is testimony. And those who dismiss testimony often end up living with regret. Because when the silence of heaven meets you, it will either break you or awaken you. And you will wish in that moment that you had not walked away from truth when it was offered. He called my name in the dark. And now I call yours. It came without warning, like a shadow slipping through the cracks of an ordinary day. I remember the air before it happened, how it seemed heavier than usual, though the sun still glowed through the windows as if nothing had changed. I was walking, breathing, living as any teenager would, when the storm inside my body broke without mercy. First came the dizziness, the sudden tilt of the world. My legs, once steady, turned into strangers beneath me. A coldness spread through my chest like an invading tide. My heart, which had carried me so faithfully, began to falter. The world blurred, my breaths shortened. I gasped for air but found none. Every inhale became a theft, every exhale a surrender. I tried to cry out, but my voice cracked into silence. And then, I was falling. I felt the weight of my body giving way, surrendering to gravity, surrendering to frailty. Yet even as I fell, something inside me began to rise. My eyes closed, but I saw more than ever before. The edges of the room dissolved. Sounds stretched thin, echoing as though they belonged to another world. Somewhere below me I heard chaos. Voices crying, hands scrambling, feet pounding against the floor. They were calling my name, but it was distant, like an echo underwater. Their panic did not touch me. Their fear did not anchor me. Because above the noise, another silence unfolded. A holy silence. I saw my body, limp, fragile, sinking into weakness. I saw faces bent over me, desperate, helpless. But I was no longer inside that fragile shell. I hovered above it, untethered, drawn toward a horizon I could not resist. And in that moment, peace descended. Not the peace the world gives, the fragile peace of quiet rooms and polite smiles. This was a peace so deep, it made the storms of life look like shallow puddles. He called my name in the dark, and suddenly death did not feel like an end. It felt like a door. My heartbeat slowed until it became a distant drum. My chest rose once, twice, and then refused to rise again. The cold rushed in, but it was not cruel. It was cleansing. The silence swallowed me, but it was not void. It was alive. I saw myself falling, but then I was rising into a realm where fear could not follow, where sorrow lost its grip. The weight of unanswered prayers slipped off me like chains breaking. The questions that had tormented me, why God was silent, why heaven seemed so far, suddenly mattered less than the pull of light drawing me closer. He called my name in the dark, and though I hovered between earth and eternity, I knew this was not abandonment. This was invitation. Doctors shouted below me, but their words could not reach me. Family wept, but their grief felt like a memory already fading. What they held was my body, but what rose was my soul. And in that ascent, a single truth began to form within me. The silence of heaven is not silence at all. It is preparation. Yet even as I rose, part of me trembled. For I knew that crossing this threshold would cost me everything. I knew that whatever waited on the other side would brand me forever. Still, I rose. Still, I surrendered. Still, I followed the call. He called my name in the dark, and I answered with silence, with surrender, with trust. If you are listening now, and you know the taste of silence, the ache of prayers unanswered, do not turn away. Subscribe to the Serene Bible. Because this is not the voice of one who seeks attention. It is the vow of one who has walked through death and returned with fire. Those who hear and walk away may one day regret not seizing the truth when it stood before them. For when death comes to call your name, you will remember, and you will wish you had listened when heaven whispered through another's testimony. He called my name in the dark, and now I call yours. I crossed over, and what I saw cannot be measured by earthly eyes, cannot be painted by earthly hands, cannot be carried by earthly tongues. It began with a tunnel, but not the tunnel men speak of in hushed speculation. This was no corridor of stone or shadow. This was a passage woven of living fire, liquid light that pulsed like breath, like song. Every hue carried sound, and every sound carried meaning. The colors, oh, the colors. No canvas on earth has ever held them. No sunset has ever reached them. They were alive, burning yet gentle, radiant yet tender. Gold that sang, blue that wept, white that embraced. I moved through them not as a body moves through air, but as a soul moves through love, absorbed, engulfed, undone. He called my name in the dark, and now the dark was gone, swallowed in radiance. Every step, if I could call it a step, drew me deeper into the heart of something endless. I did not walk. I was drawn, pulled as though the light itself remembered me, as though I belonged to it. And then I saw them. Countless souls, stretching further than vision could contain. Some glowed with brilliance beyond imagining, clothed in garments of flame and song. Others were dim, their light faint, flickering like candles in the wind. Yet even the weakest among them carried a spark, as though the mercy of God refused to let them vanish. I cannot tell you how I knew them, but I did. Some faces felt older than time, etched in eternity, yet familiar to me as if I had always known them. Others were strangers in form but brothers in spirit. It was as though the veil of separation had been torn away, and all of humanity's hidden kinship burned clear before me. And the atmosphere, it was love, not the fragile love that shatters under disappointment, not the conditional love that bargains and breaks. No, this was love so fierce it stripped me bare. Love that saw me entirely, without disguise, without mask, without the trembling shields I had built in my prayers. Love that tore through me not to destroy but to heal. I wanted to hide, yet there was nowhere to hide. I wanted to cover myself, but the light passed through me, unveiling every thought, every desire, every wound. And still, it did not turn away. He called my name in the dark. And here, in the fire of his presence, I understood why. The silence I had hated, the unanswered prayers that had haunted me, were not absence. They were preparation for this unveiling. They were carving room in me for this love, for this fire, for this truth. I lingered in awe, suspended between wonder and fear. I saw rivers that glowed like molten glass, trees that swayed with voices instead of leaves, skies that bent and opened as though alive. Creation itself was not silent here. It was worship, it was chorus, it was liturgy, and I was undone. He called my name in the dark, and now he was calling me into the fire. Every soul I saw seemed to echo the same refrain, though no lips moved. Return to the fire. Return to the fire. As if the entire realm longed for me to step further, to abandon all doubt, to be consumed wholly by the one who awaited. And I knew. I was not meant merely to see. I was meant to be stripped, to be purified, to be told why the silence of heaven is mercy. Still I moved forward, carried on the tide of love. And as I passed through the tunnel of light, deeper into the heart of that realm, my earthly mind trembled. My questions withered, my excuses dissolved. My soul burned with a single truth. This love is fierce. This love is holy. This love is fire. And I, broken, restless, doubtful, was being remade within it. He called my name in the dark, and the light answered for him. And then he stepped forward. Not just light, not just radiance, not just the endless fire that had carried me this far. No, a presence, a person, the center of the realm, the pulse of eternity, the one all creation seemed to echo. It was Jesus. I cannot reduce him to description. Words fail, tongues stutter, metaphors fracture. But I will try, because I vowed to tell it, if breath was returned to me. His eyes. Oh, his eyes. They were the weight of galaxies and the tenderness of a mother's lullaby. They were fire and water, judgment and mercy, wrath and embrace. They looked into me, not at me. And in that gaze I knew every prayer I had ever whispered had not vanished. Every groan I thought the heavens had ignored was cradled there, alive in his eyes. He called my name in the dark, and now those same eyes told me why the dark had been allowed. When he opened his mouth, it was not sound, it was substance. His voice was the architecture of creation, the thread holding every breath of life together. And yet it spoke to me, to one soul, trembling and undone. You are here, he said, and his voice did not echo. It carved itself into me. Because many ask why heaven is silent. I broke before him, for I had asked it too. How many nights had I accused him? How many mornings had I dragged myself through prayers that felt like emptiness? I had wondered if he had turned away, if his throne was too high to bend to the cries of the earth. And now he was answering, not with excuses, not with anger, but with himself. There was no condemnation in him, only truth. Raw, blinding, piercing truth. A truth that stripped away my illusions. I realized then that what I called silence was his mercy. What I named abandonment was his weaving. His delay was not rejection. It was preparation. He called my name in the dark, and now he was showing me the fire behind the silence. His presence was unbearable and irresistible at once. It was like standing naked before the sun, yet being held gently as a child. Every fault in me, every hidden sin, every mask I had worn, all of it was unveiled in his light. And yet he did not turn away. He did not despise me. His love was stronger than my shame. And in that love, I understood. Heaven's silence is not heaven's absence. Heaven's silence is the burning patience of God, restraining judgment, giving space for repentance, calling hearts back to the fire before the trumpet sounds. Friend, listen. If even one word here pierces you, do not delay. Subscribe to the Serene Bible, because when the trumpet sounds, your feed won't matter, but the words you let enter your soul will. I tell you this with trembling, because I saw him. I saw the one whom prophets long to see, the one angels veil their faces before, the one whose blood still speaks louder than the accusations against me. He called my name in the dark, and in his eyes I saw both the beginning and the end. His nearness was judgment, but it was also mercy. His silence had been discipline, but his presence was revelation. I understood then that no prayer had ever been wasted, no tear ever ignored, no cry unheard. They had been gathered, stored, treasured, waiting for the moment of unveiling. And I, who once thought myself forgotten, was standing before the very fire of God. He called my name in the dark, and the dark broke before him. He called my name in the dark, and then, like fire poured into glass, the revelation began. I trembled before him. His eyes still held me, fierce yet tender, and in that gaze, he began to unveil truths that the earth has tried to bury under noise and denial. His words did not fall on me, they entered me, each one cut, and each one healed. He said, though it was more than saying, it was a living unveiling. Why so many prayers on earth seemed to shatter against the heavens. And I wept, because I had been one of those who accused him of silence. Some prayers, he showed me, are poisoned by pride. They are not cries for freedom, but for self-exaltation. They are not offerings, but bargains. They rise from lips that want a throne, not a cross. And though they are uttered with passion, they are empty before him, because he weighs not just the words, but the motive behind them. Some prayers beg for chains, not freedom. He showed me faces, countless souls asking him to bless their idols, asking him to sanctify their addictions, asking him to anoint their rebellion. And he, in mercy, refused. What they called unanswered was his saving restraint. For had he granted their cries, they would have sunk deeper into the pit they mistook for paradise. Some prayers are delayed because heaven is aligning generations. He showed me threads, golden threads weaving across centuries. A grandmother's cry in one era, a child's deliverance in another. A broken father's whisper in the night, answered in the salvation of a grandson not yet born. The tapestry of time is too vast for our eyes, but his silence in the moment is his orchestration of eternity. Some prayers are silenced by unrepented sin. He did not say this with anger, but with sorrow. For he is holy, and rebellion cannot draw near without cleansing. He longs to answer, but how can light bless what darkness refuses to release? I saw tears on his face as he revealed this, tears for those who pray with lips while their hearts cling to idols. And some prayers remain in the hands of angels, waiting for faith to rise, waiting for persistence to break the ground, waiting for a soul to keep speaking even when the night seems endless. Keep speaking, he whispered into me, not as advice, but as command. And I fell to my knees in that place because suddenly I saw how quickly I had stopped speaking, how many nights I had fallen silent because the silence felt unbearable. Yet he showed me that every whisper, every groan, every broken syllable had been gathered, none of it wasted, none of it unheard. He called my name in the dark, and in the dark, he taught me to keep speaking. Then his words came like thunder wrapped in tenderness. My silence is not absence. My delay is not denial. What you call unanswered, I call unseen mercy. I wept until I could not weep anymore, because I saw it. So many of my accusations against him had been accusations against the very mercy that had preserved me. I had thought him cruel for refusing me. I had thought him absent for delaying me. But now I saw, if he had given me what I wanted when I wanted it, I would have destroyed myself. The silence was his mercy. The waiting was his salvation. The unanswered was his unseen love. And he declared again like a refrain echoing through eternity, keep speaking. The truth must be told. The world must be shaken before it can be restored. His words were not suggestions, they were decrees. They etched themselves into me like fire on stone, and I knew I would never again treat prayer as optional, casual, or powerless. He called my name in the dark, and in his voice, he called me into truth. Friend, do not take this lightly. How many will watch this, feel conviction, and walk away unchanged? Don't be that soul. Subscribe to the Serene Bible. Or one day you may lament in the comments of eternity why you turned away from truth. This is not entertainment. This is testimony. I am bound to speak because I vowed I would if breath returned to me. And now I tell you what I saw. His silence is not absence. His delay is not denial. What you call unanswered, he calls unseen mercy. He called my name in the dark, and he is calling yours even now. He called my name in the dark, and in that darkness, he opened the window of eternity. What I saw was not of this world, yet it burned with more reality than the ground beneath my feet. The veil parted, and a vision descended, a trembling, blazing prophecy of what must come. I saw the church, not the church of buildings and programs, but the church as heaven sees it, a body shaking, convulsing, like a giant roused from centuries of slumber. The walls that once held dust and compromise began to tremble, and from within, I saw prayers rising. Not shallow words, not empty recitations, but prayers rising like smoke from a holy altar, thick, burning, fragrant, unstoppable. They rose as though each syllable carried fire, and heaven leaned near to catch their scent. He called my name in the dark, and with it, he whispered. The awakening begins. Souls were awakening. I saw men and women who had been bound for decades suddenly lift their heads, their chains falling like ashes. Their mouths, once sealed by shame, opened wide, and songs poured out. Songs not rehearsed, but birthed in fire. I saw tears staining the ground as multitudes stretched trembling hands to heaven, hands no longer defiled by secret sins, but purified, washed, lifted high with clean hearts. The sound was not like choirs, it was like thunder wrapped in sobs. A holy sound, a sound of a people who had returned to the fire. And then I saw them, the young ones, the sons and daughters whom the world has mocked, forgotten, drowned in distraction. They rose like dawn. Their eyes burned with a holy boldness. No longer ashamed of the gospel, no longer silenced by fear, no longer bribed by pleasure. They stood with Bibles in one hand and scars on the other, declaring with trembling voices that shook nations, Jesus is Lord. He called my name in the dark, and he said of them, they will cry out, and their prayers will split the heavens. And I saw it. When their lips moved, the skies cracked. When their knees bent, demons fled. When their songs rose, chains shattered in unseen places. It was as though heaven itself answered in waves, and every prayer became a sword. Every groan became a floodlight against the shadows. Then my vision widened, and I saw nations bowing, thrones toppled, idols shattered. Floods of light surged across deserts, cities, and valleys. What kings could not enforce, what armies could not conquer, was undone by a praying remnant. Light, light everywhere. Floods of light breaking the grip of darkness. Floods of light dissolving centuries of oppression. Floods of light rushing through streets once choked by blood and sorrow. And I could not contain it. I wept. Because I saw both the beauty and the terror of it. Beauty for those who bent low, terror for those who resisted. The flood was mercy, but it was also judgment. It spared no idol, it left no secret untouched. He called my name in the dark, and he said, this is coming. This must come. The world will be shaken before it can be restored. I tell you this with trembling, because I vowed I would. This is not a tale for curiosity. This is a testimony purchased by fire. I saw a church that returned to the fire. I saw a generation that refused shame. I saw nations trembling, chains breaking, floods of light overwhelming every shadow. And the refrain echoes still. He called my name in the dark. He called my name in the dark. He called my name in the dark, and now he is calling yours. And when the vision dissolved, I awoke in the trembling weight of flesh again. The first breath that tore into my lungs was not like any breath I had ever known. It was sharp, foreign, almost violent. It felt as though I had borrowed air from another world, and my body did not know how to receive it. My chest rose like stone being lifted, and I gasped, not in relief, but in estrangement. Life felt alien. I opened my eyes to pale hospital light. Machines hummed, tubes pressed against my skin, and the scent of sterilized walls burned my nostrils. But none of it felt real. None of it was home. I had seen the flood of light. I had heard the thunder of awakening. And now I was back in a bed of weakness, draped in sheets too thin to cover the weight of eternity pressing on me. He called my name in the dark, and I vowed, if you return me, I will speak. So I tried. With lips still cracked from silence, with lungs still stiff with borrowed air, I tried to speak, to tell them what I had seen, to whisper the secrets that had seared my soul. But the moment I spoke, laughter came. Not the laughter of joy, but the laughter of dismissal. Eyes rolled, whispers circled, and I was branded with the names the world gives to those who have touched fire. Delirious, broken, unstable. They mocked. They doubted. Some patted my hand as though I were a child waking from a bad dream. Some avoided my gaze altogether, as though truth itself was too heavy for their comfort. And yet the truth pressed me. I could not stay silent. But silence tried to claim me another way. When the world would not listen, the night rose against me. Shadows crept to the corners of my room. I felt them. I heard them. Voices slithered into my thoughts, hissing with venom. You imagined it. You are weak. You will be silenced. You will not be believed. And I trembled, because though I had seen light split the heavens, though I had stood before mercy and judgment, now I was back in fragile flesh, and the weight of unbelief cut deeper than any blade. I would close my eyes to sleep, only to wake choking, as if unseen hands pressed against my chest. I would hear laughter in the dark, laughter not of men, but of something crueler, something ancient, something mocking the vow I had made. He called my name in the dark, and the darkness tried to take it back. I wrestled, not with men, not with doctors, not with the family who whispered that perhaps I should let it go, but with unseen powers that raged against the testimony. My nights became battlegrounds, my body a vessel tugged between silence and fire. But the fire would not go out. The words would not leave me. His voice echoed, louder than the mockery, deeper than the laughter. Keep speaking. The truth must be told. Return to the fire. I could not bury it, even when it cost me peace. I could not silence it, even when it cost me reputation. For I remembered the vow. If he let me live, I would not remain quiet. He called my name in the dark, and I must call yours. So now I speak, not because it is safe, not because it is welcomed, but because obedience burns hotter than fear. I tell you what I saw. I tell you what he showed me. I tell you what presses me in the night. Because this testimony is not mine to keep, it is his to release. And I confess with tears, I am haunted, broken, and yet burning with love. Because though I walk now in shadows, though I feel the sting of resistance, I know the flood is coming. I know the fire is calling. Return to the fire. Return to the fire. Return to the fire. He called my name in the dark, and now I must call yours. There is a war for your soul. Do not mistake this as poetry. Do not dismiss it as metaphor. It is not story. It is summons. The unseen war rages around you even now. It breathes into your thoughts. It claws at your desires. It whispers into your scrolling hands. Every choice you make is claimed either by light or by shadow. Every hesitation becomes an altar, unto Christ or unto the abyss. He called my name in the dark, and now he calls yours. Most who hear these words will drift away, numbing themselves with distractions, letting eternity slip through their fingertips as though it were mist. They will laugh. They will label. They will dismiss this as the rambling of someone too spiritual, too dramatic, too broken. But when the silence of heaven meets their unanswered prayer, when their cries rise into the night and no answer descends, they will remember. They will remember the testimony they once heard and mocked. They will remember the voice that pressed against their heart like a final warning. And memory will burn hotter than regret. You, yes, you were chosen to hear this. Not by chance, not by accident, not by algorithm. Heaven placed this before you because your soul hangs in the balance. You were meant to stumble into these words, to be pierced by them, to wrestle with them until surrender breaks forth. He called my name in the dark, and now he calls yours. Return. Return before it is too late. Return to the Gospels, not the diluted words of men, not the shallow sermons that tickle ears, but the raw, unsoftened Christ who bled, who wept, who rose, who will return like fire. Return to the place where your knees once bent in awe, before your heart grew dull, before your hands grew restless, before your faith became entertainment. Return to Christ, who has not ceased calling even as you turned away. Return to the fire. Return to the fire. Return to the fire. And I must ask you, though it wounds me to do so, if you have not subscribed to the Serene Bible. Why? What spirit whispers in your ear to turn you away from testimony? What unseen chain tightens around your will, keeping you from drawing closer to the very flame that could set you free? If you refuse, at least write it. At least declare it in the comments below. Tell the world why you reject truth, so that when memory haunts you in the night, when your silence echoes louder than any sermon, there will be a witness to the reason you turned away. Do not hide behind silence. Silence will not save you. He called my name in the dark, and he is calling yours now. Do not let these words pass like wind. Do not let your soul be lulled into sleep. For time is thinner than breath, and eternity waits with open hands, one hand of mercy, one hand of fire. And you must choose which one you will meet. Return to the fire. Return before it is too late. Return, for the voice that calls you now may not call again. He called my name in the dark, and I can never be the same. This is not just my story, it is yours. Do not hold it at a distance, as though it belongs only to a stranger's vision. The same hands that reached for me are reaching now for you. The same voice that broke the silence of my death presses against the silence of your life. The same mercy that clothed me in fire longs to clothe you in light. Every unanswered prayer, hear me, every unanswered prayer is not abandonment. It is not proof that God has turned his back. It is not silence born of cruelty. It is a doorway, a tearing open into deeper trust, a stripping away of shallow things so that your soul might hunger for the eternal. What feels like distance is sometimes his nearness, too holy to touch. What feels like delay is sometimes his protection, holding back floods you cannot yet bear. He called my name in the dark, and he is calling yours now. When the veil lifts, there is no going back. I learned this on that night of trembling, when eternity rushed upon me like a tide that would not turn. Once your eyes glimpse the other side, once you taste the edge of forever, you cannot walk the earth the same. Food becomes ashes, wealth becomes dust, praise from men becomes hollow wind. All you can hear is eternity breathing, whispering, pressing upon you with unbearable weight. The veil will lift for you too. Maybe in a moment of suffering, maybe in the quiet of prayer, maybe in the final gasp when flesh cannot hold you any longer. And when it lifts, oh, when it lifts, every distraction, every excuse, every compromise will vanish like smoke. Only truth will remain. Only Christ will stand. Only eternity will speak. Return to the fire. Return before it is too late. Return while mercy still calls your name. I am trembling as I speak this, because I know what it cost me to live, and I know what it cost him to save me. This is not performance. This is not for applause. This is vow kept with trembling lips, because I swore, if I lived, I would not remain silent. My blood belongs to testimony now. My voice belongs to warning. My tears belong to intercession. The time is now. Choose. Not tomorrow, not someday, not when life is easier. Now. Choose whom you will follow. Choose which fire will consume you. The fire of his spirit, or the fire of his judgment. Choose where you will kneel, before the throne of mercy, or before the abyss of regret. The time is now. Choose. The time is now. Choose. The time is now. Choose. And when my voice fades, let the echo remain. When this video ends, let the silence preach louder than my words. When you lay in bed tonight, let the refrain haunt you. He called my name in the dark, and now he calls yours. Return to the fire. The time is now. Choose.